What up, tubers? This is Riders Mark coming at you with a little DIY vlog. It's gonna be a quick one, but my clutch has been broken, as you may have seen on my previous video, and I'm just gonna replace my clutch cable. That I may have said clutch. Clutch cable is broken. I'm trying to fix that. So let's jump right into it because I ain't got much time, and neither do you. So first thing to do is to make sure that you got the right part, and I do. That's pretty simple, straightforward, and easy. I've already done myself a favor about loosening some of these bolts, but we'll get into those in a second. First things first is taking the old cable off, so let's do that. One of the more trickery things is to try and thread this cable back through the bolt with the notch on it. I find that kind of annoying to get that job done right. There we go. Come on, baby. There we go. Yep. Does that look broken to you? Maybe. Let's see if we can get that. Looks all right in the camera. Yeah, I think that looks pretty broken. There you go. Okay. So now we just got to get the cable out of the bolt here. We'll line these guys up. There we go. Off. See, that's the little notch I'm talking about. That's in there that you want to line up and try and get right. I end up putting this back in here because I'm a knucklehead, and if something doesn't, you know, get put back in its place already, I probably will lose it. So I'm just going to backfeed this thing right through. Let's adjust the camera angle a little bit lower and check this next thing out. So I've got my razor blade because we need to cut off the little zip ties that used to be white, and they look really more like black now. So there you go. And there's more than one reason why my clutch cable's broken. So we're going to run this back through. It's important to remember where you have this thing running. I've already done this once, so I've got some familiarity with it. But you want to make sure that you kind of have a similar path to what you took before. That way, you know, you're not binding up or crunching when you turn the handles on your bike. So let's switch views and check this thing out. Alright, hopefully this is a decent angle for you guys. But this is pretty straightforward. But it's kind of weird also in terms of what I need to take off to actually get to the clutch area where the cable actually inserts. So what I need to do, I have a bolt missing here for my first front peg or whatever. But this bolt you need to loosen up on this era, and I'd pretty much say years around this 1980. I couldn't tell you the exact years that this would apply to, but somewhere around the 1980 KZs, I'd imagine this would be fairly similar. So I just backed this thing out long enough and far enough that I can get actually my my shifter off, which I've already loosened. So I just need to wiggle this guy off the splines. There we go. So got to have that off in order to get the plate off. All right. And I did that using a 13mm socket. So that's what took this bad boy off right here. All right, not a big deal at all. Pretty cool. Next thing is that I loosened this cover up here, the top cover. I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm just going to call it the top cover for lack of a better term. I loosened it enough so that I can lift it up and over my clutch cover. All right. So I've already loosened all these bolts. You can see how long these suckers are. So you really want to make sure you thread these guys nicely, so be gentle with them. And I may not have mentioned this already. There's 4 of these bolts. One down here by the shifter, 2 up top, and 1 right in front of where the clutch cable goes in. And this is a 10mm socket that I use to undo those bolts. Pretty easy. So now I'm going to try and work this guy out because he's stubborn.
2,000 years later.
So apparently I didn't have these guys loose enough. Whew! Dropping stuff. There we go. I think that's all that was holding it up. There we go. So now you can see how dirty this bad boy is. Check this out. Yeah, get some lighting in there. Yeah, gross, right? Anywho, it's pretty simple because now the clutch just cable, the cable just loosens and unbends. See, right in there. And then you can just pull this guy right out. Easy peasy pie. So, old clutch cable off. We can toss that aside. We're just going to do the exact reverse with the new clutch cable. So this guy gets put in there. You got to pull his little tabby out. I hope this is doing okay. So he just gets put in a slot, and that guy gets put right in there. Pretty easy. You do want to kind of keep some tension on this guy. Right here. So on the cable on the other end, I'll try and see if I can get it over here. The other end is kind of important to keep some tension on there. So you see, this is what I'm talking about. See the play in here? You don't want that to loosen up so that you lose it on the other end from where you have it connected. So all I do is I take something. Right now what I have close to me is my whatever you want to call these. my little hand vise or whatever. I usually take my vice grips and do it, but I think those are in my basement. But this will work, so that'll keep that thing from sliding. So just put enough tension on there that, you know, it holds it still for right now. Oh, let's go get the plate. I'm going to put the plate back on now. The important thing is you got to get this. This is the shifter here. We got to get that guy threaded back through. I'm not going to bother cleaning this right now because I really just want to go ride. It's been a week and way too long for me to be off my bike. There we go. And she's dirty as all get out too. Alright, so I'm just going to tighten these up and then we'll start working our way backwards. So I'm sure this will be the boring part of the video. One thing to note is I usually go in like a cross pattern. That way it kind of tightens it evenly. A little bit better for the bolts and making sure everything's seated correctly. So I just tighten them just as snug, nothing crazy. We're going to put the top plate back on, the top cover. Let's put our shifter back on, shifter lever. You want to make sure you get your splines lined up, you don't want to ruin it. This is also a 10 millimeter, by the way. And then we put the front peg on. Man, I need to fix this guy, but fortunately, I have a stud there, even though it's not bolted. It should work. Excuse me. There we go. Little washer there. And the nut. So I'm not quite sure where I left off, but what I did was I got my shifter lever put on, my front peg put on. This plate is back on and tightened, and so is this plate. This bolt right here is your clutch adjustment bolt. I'm not going to go through how to adjust your clutch in this video. I probably will make a video later about that. But for now, we're just going to leave it as is. So we're going to go back up top. I'm going to show you the rest of the run. We are taking what we had here, and we're going to make sure that thing doesn't drop in anymore. So we're going to loosen him, but we got to make sure that we keep tension on this sucker. Alright, I'm going to run it back through where we had it before. Keeping the tension the whole time, which is kind of annoying. Threading it back in these guys without dropping it. There we go. And this should hold it snug for right now. That's pretty much it. After that, we just got to do a clutch adjustment, which I said we're not going to do in this video. And the only other thing that I'm going to do is zip tie this sucker to my frame, and then I'll be done. So that's it. Do me a favor, comment, like, subscribe. I know this is a quick video, but hopefully you guys like it. Peace.